I am recording. Howdy, folks. I hope this finds you well, wherever that may be. Hopefully, you got to get out and enjoy the holiday weekend, at least a little bit of some kind of respite before we go into this final sprint towards the end. Um, we got away, which was amazing, but of course, now, like, every square inch of my home is covered in gear. But whatever. I've had worse problems than that. Anyway, I wanted to get a quick video sent out to touch on a few things. More than anything, kind of bring us all onto the same page because we are in week 10, just like that, every damn time. So I figured it's going to be a good idea for us to kind of take stock of things, maybe try to answer a few questions that I've seen with some consistency, talk a little bit about what to expect in these last days, and then we'll kind of take it from there. So, where to begin? Um, I think that if I'm remembering correctly, which is a big if, I don't know if I had sent out a message to all of you to let you know, but hopefully you had already noticed anyway that I had gone in and made some slight adjustment on the midterm grades. And so I think I told you I'm very obsessive. I go through after the fact. I assess every little damn thing. And so I ended up adding points onto all of yours in the grade book. So hopefully you've seen that in there. There had been an issue associated with the extra credit. I got that fixed, and so for those of you who had taken it early on and weren't seeing a score, you should be able to see your scores now. And everybody else who's been working on it, it looks like everything's showing up just hunky dory. So that's good. So going into the end here, a few things to consider. So number one, which is just it's a pain when it comes to this course, but it's kind of is what it is right now, which is the fact that we have these two separate grade books. So you've been doing your work in MindTap. All of those scores have been accumulating and getting posted within the spreadsheet within MindTap itself. And then we have our grade book that's within the Canvas shell that has your exams and your discussion forums and those sorts of things. So it's a pain having them in two separate places, and I know that. What's going to happen going into the very end here is that you've maybe noticed in the grade book that there are just categories, just one single category that goes for the comprehension checks, a single category that goes for the quizzes, and I'll be going in and just manually taking the scores that you have in MindTap, plugging them into Canvas, so then it all gets calculated out. But it goes in as a lump sum instead of individual scores for each thing throughout each chapter, if that kind of makes sense. So I won't be doing that until right up close to the end because, without a doubt, a good portion of you are still going to be knocking a few of those out. I don't want to miss points that somebody gets, or do you understand what I'm saying? So I'll be doing that, but probably not well into next week, which only means that, for instance, if you're trying to make an assessment right now of like where you sit in the course, you would have to take the totals that you have in MindTap out of the total possible, and then take those in addition to all the points that you have in Canvas relative to how many points there would be, and of course then you can divide that out and see where you sit. But it's not as simple as when we have it all in one place and you can just go look at the damn thing. With that being said, too, I recognize that I've got a little catching up to do on the discussion forums. I apologize that those aren't as up to date. Those are, like I've said, I think before, that's the one place where I actually really feel like I get to learn about you and hear what you have to say. And I love reading the posts and trying to give some feedback and stuff. And that just ultimately ends up taking a lot of freaking time. So I will put the pedal down. Hopefully, if you should have a good sense, as for how they've been going throughout the term, the feedback I've given, and the way points have been going, you should have a pretty good idea of what to anticipate with the other discussion forums that have yet to be filled in. Um, with that being said, I want to reiterate that in the spirit of like flexibility and malleability, this sort of thing, that you still have the opportunity. I highly suggest for everybody, whenever you have an opportunity, to go into MindTap, go through and make sure that your scores have shown up in there. They should be, but I emphasize should, italicized, underlined. Um, Take a look, because we don't want anything missing if it's supposed to be there. So let me know if there's anything funky about that. But that being said, you're still welcome to do any of those. So if there's something back in chapter 2 that you hadn't completed the quiz or the comprehension, you can still go do it. And they will be there, and I will pull them out next week and put them in with all the rest of the grades. The same, more or less, goes for the discussion forums as well. And so, those have sort of come and gone. At least the ones from several weeks back have kind of, they're pretty well settled at this point, and I probably have gone through and graded and feedback and all that sort of thing. But there's still a handful of weeks up towards the end here that I'll be getting to soon. But for instance, if you had only made a single post but you hadn't really responded to others or something like that, you still have the chance to do that. But do try to get that done maybe sooner rather than later, because I am going to be trying to get things kind of all clumped up and put together as a final product as soon as I can next week. So what else did I have to say about that? So I guess the other moving parts aside from the discussion forum, the MindTap, of course, is the final exam. And the final is no different than the initial midterm was. Of course, it just covers what we have been working on since that other midterm. Same format, same time, same everything. So there should be no surprises, hopefully, going into the final. And hopefully the study guides, things like that, are somewhat helpful in refining this fire hose of information that's coming at you now. And do I have anything else to say about that? I don't think I actually do. I will have it up and available throughout pretty much the entire week next week. So hopefully you can kind of slot that in, whatever your schedule, your days, your other exams, stuff like that are looking like. You should be able to hopefully have that flexibility with it as well. And then the only other one I guess I can think of is the extra credit that I had mentioned. That's still up. That'll be up all the way through next week. Two to work on. Just to complicate things more than they already are, because why not? So if you are trying to calculate out your score and kind of see where you are, part of the problem, and I could talk for 2.5 hours about how just fundamentally stupid this is, but I won't. But the way that Canvas is set up is a real pain in the way that I can create the extra credit. In short, I can't make the extra credit assignment without it plugging in the points and then calculating those points over towards the end. And so instead of it being extra credit on top of the total points for the course, it takes it as though it was just another assignment, adds that into its total, and instead of just adding the points atop what your actual score is, it calculates that out of this larger amount. China. The point being, it takes, frankly, just stupid things that I have to do next week in order to get the extra credit to count on top of all of your other points. And so just understand when you're looking in Canvas that total percentage or that total score that's calculated over onto the side is not fully accurate, just because of the nature of the way the damn gradebook works. So also with that, I would remind you that next week when I do go in and I'm pulling all the points and I'm putting them all together, that the total number of extra credit points that were achievable on there was half the distance, right, from your grade to the total of possible 250. And so when I calculate those out, even if you have like 40 points, the full extra credit sort of thing, if you only have like 30 of those that are going to be there, then it'll be 30 that I'll add on next week going into the end. God, I'm boring myself by talking about this. I hope that makes sense. I don't feel like it does. I have a amazing gift of making things worse when I open my mouth. So I think this is one of those situations. Hopefully, I mean, if you do have questions, of course, let me know. I will try to be very clear as I'm getting everything in, so that so we all know what the hell's going on, ish. Okay, well, that seems like a great place to just shut up and stop. I think that really covers where we're at. There's not much, hopefully, that we have to concern ourselves with, unless there's things you need to revisit, stuff to go back and double check on, that sort of thing. Otherwise, we are just right at the finish line, just about. So, I hope that things are wrapping up well for you, and do reach out if there's anything I can help with or answer or the like, and we'll just be in touch. Okay, stay well, and we'll talk soon. All right, and